55 degrees here in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. And because this is an app show, we also have an app that you can use to view our weather. Actually, you can see what the weather's like here in Hickson. Just go to the Bloom Sky app. That's BLOOM, the Bloom Sky app. I know it sounds like Blue Sky. It's not. BLOOM, the Bloom Sky app. And search for Chattanooga, where we are right now, and you can see what the weather's like. Actually, you can actually view what it looks like here currently in Chattanooga. And if you're into time lapses like moi, you can actually see what the weather was like yesterday with a cool time lapse. So you can compare yesterday with today. We've been having great days too, and just the last yesterday and today have been very, very nice. I'm really impressed with how the weather is today. It's a very, very clear, sort of cloudless day, at least from what I can see right now. The sun is beating down on us, and it's already 55 degrees, supposed to get up to 65 by the end of the day. It's just a good day overall. It's a good day for everything. If you're into sports, today's a good day to go out and play Frisbee. If you're into technology, today's a good day to stay in your house and play on your phone, which is what everyone else does. It's a good day overall. You could go to Coolidge Park in Chattanooga and you could play with your phone there. That's what a lot of people do, actually. I do that sometimes. I'll go down to Coolidge Park. I don't know what it is that the difference in environment, right? Because why do we go to coffee shops to play on our laptops? And why do we go to parks to play on our laptops or to do work on our laptops or to, email on our phones? The change in environment somehow makes us more productive. I don't get it. To me, my ideal environment is like a pod, a climate-controlled pod with feeding tubes where I can access my computer, and maybe I've got a shunt that goes into my brainstem that connects me to the net. That would be my ideal situation. But then again, maybe I watch The Matrix too much. Well, apps can save lives too. Apps are not just for leisure, for playing around, for having fun, although they're great for that. Because I was just, as in maybe 30 minutes ago, while I was waiting for an audio file to process, to generate, I was playing a little game on my phone that I really like called Plague. And it's a game where you play as a virus or a bacteria or any other number of different infectious things. And your goal is to kill everyone in the world, on the planet. Your goal is to murder everyone. It's not really murder if it's a natural process. Like if someone dies from pneumonia, is that really murder? I guess not. It's just a death that happens from something that happens. So your goal is to naturally kill everyone in the world. And it's an amazingly addictive and fun game with a horrible, horrible goal. So if you're into a fun game where your goal is to kill everyone, Plague Incorporated is actually really fun because it's good for just maybe you got 30 minutes to kill. You're waiting on something in the oven. Boot up, really boot it. Launch Plague Incorporated and play that. I think there's a free version in the Google Play Store. I've been playing it on my computer too. Really fun game if you're into killing everyone. I of course name every single campaign Zika virus because I think that is morbidly funny. Police say that they were able to rescue a Pennsylvania woman who was kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend thanks to her mother's iPhone tracking app, according to CBS News. Police say that the 18-year-old man met the woman on Tuesday in East Stroudsburg, no relation, I hope, to discuss custody of a young child. They say that he bound her hands, feet, and mouth with duct tape and forced her into the trunk of a vehicle. This is a situation that no one wants to get in. Obviously, I don't really like the idea of being bound and thrown into the trunk of a car, but something that she had saved her life, and it's something that we all have. Her smartphone, her iPhone in this case. State police say that they used the mother's Find My iPhone app to track the victim's cell phone to a McDonald's in Milesburg, about 150 miles west of her home. Online court documents show that Joseph Baller is now facing kidnapping and other charges. He's in custody and has a preliminary hearing on February the 24th. You don't need to know that, but that's the story from CBS. Well, what do we glean from that? We glean that the Find My iPhone app, which generally speaking is on pretty much everyone's phone, if it's not, you need to get it, can actually legitimately save lives. What would have happened to that young lady if she had been stuck in the trunk of someone's car, some psychopath? There has to be something wrong with you to kidnap somebody in the first place. The idea of bounding someone against their will unlawfully, right, and throwing them in the back of your car and then transporting them away from their original location, you have to be mental to want to do that unlawfully. I mean, there are lawful examples where that's okay. If the person is, suspected of a crime and they've got a warrant out for their arrest, that's a little bit different. But if we're talking about just someone on the street, someone you have a vendetta against, there's got to be something wrong with you. And the Save My iPhone app actually saved somebody. Believe it or not, the Find My iPhone app actually saved somebody. And this probably is not the only example of that happening. It's certainly not going to be the first example of that happening. It's something that could happen time and time again. Now, there are locator apps, by the way, for Android phones as well. Don't worry if you have an Android phone. You're not going to be left out. If you have a Motorola phone, like a lot of people do, Motorola has a similar feature, actually, where you can locate your Motorola device just by logging on to Motorola's website and finding it. So you can actually do that pretty easily. Let me launch the app real quick because you usually, I'm pretty sure, have to do this from the desktop. Let me just do a quick Google search for what I'm looking for here, if the computer will work. Basically, what happens is you go to your iPhone or your carrier's website, and generally speaking, there will be an option to find your phone through that option. You can even, let's see, protect your phone from Motorola, I believe is what it's called. Let me just do a quick search for that. If you have a Motorola phone, anyway, you can do that. Samsung has a similar function. iPhones obviously have this function, and it's actually really simple. It's one of those things that it's so easy to do. It takes 3 seconds to set up, and it can literally save your life. You know, I say literally because it actually probably did save that young lady's life. There's the idea of, oh, this thing saved my life, which means it saved me 5 minutes writing a recipe. You know, that's not really saving your life. This actually is. And speaking of recipes, by the way, there's a really good app for that, for not necessarily for recipes, but for shopping. I hate shopping. I'll just throw that out there. I hate it. Shopping is one of the worst things on the planet to me, unless we're shopping for like electronics, in which case I'm all into that. I'm so into that. If we're shopping for a new video card, I could do that all day. That's fun. But if we're shopping for like condensed milk, forget it. I can't find anything in the store, by the way. I hate it. I just hate it. Maybe I'm not wired correctly. Maybe when I was born, I was dropped on the head and some part of my frontal lobe that handles finding things in the grocery store got damaged, among other things, probably. I don't know, but I can't find anything in the grocery. Hey, can you go out and get some lettuce? I can't find it. I don't know where lettuce is. Hey, can you go and get some, it's worse with canned things. Can you go and get some, cream of whatever soup? I just can't find it. Well, it's not really the finding that this will help you with, but the analyzing and the compiling of the data, to put it in technical terms. This can help you out. It's called Out of Milk. It's a really great app. It's on iPhone and Android. We've been using it in my family for years. It's really great. And it actually has different lists for different stores, which can make things a lot easier. Like, say, you're writing your list by hand. Normally, you would have, say, let's say you write down a list for Publix, and you write down a list for Bilo, and you write down, Food City, and you write down a list for Food Lion and Ingles, because you go to a lot of different stores for some reason. You write down lists for each one of those stores. Well, this can save you the trouble of writing them down by hand, because let's face it, especially younger people, we don't write very much with our hands. We don't. My cursive is the worst. My signature looks like awful. It just is bad. You don't want to see my signature. You can't read who it is. You're looking at it, you go, Dr. John, what? No, it says Russell Stroud, not Doc. What are you talking about? My signature is awful. So don't even bother trying to read it. And most people my age or younger, that's just how it is. 20-somethings, our cursive is bad, because why would you use it? You don't need to. Everyone types. Why would I write? I can type. Everyone types. Soon enough, people just forget how to write. We'll just type everything. It's just natural progression of technology. The day is coming, like it or not, better or worse. That's just how it is. You could argue that the horseless carriage ruined local economy. The horseless carriage, soon to become the car, ruined social life for everyone, because suddenly we could travel long distances and had long distance friends, and we never talked to our parents ever again. You could argue that, but like it or not, the technology's there. So that's just how it is. And it's not always a bad thing. I say that as sort of a scary thing, but it's not always a bad thing. Technological progression is actually, generally speaking, pretty good for humanity, actually. Sometimes technological progression is not so great for humanity. Like, say, we created the fully automatic rifle, so you could kill a lot of people in warfare. Maybe that wasn't, in the long run, analytically looking at it, just going by the numbers, maybe that wasn't so great for humanity, but like it or not, it's here and we can use them. Right? It may as well, since it's here. So the same argument goes with smartphones, where our phones are getting stronger and stronger, faster and faster, better and better, more durable too. You can drop your phone nowadays. And there was a gap. We're back in the Nokia days. If you dropped your phone, it was great. It was fine. You could pick it up and it worked. And then with the early iPhones, if you dropped your phone, it would explode into a million pieces. The lithium battery would catch on fire. And you'd inhale the fumes and you'd drop dead. This happened several times. So you, not really, but it's a scary thing. It's a frightening thing. And nowadays our phones are a lot more durable with Gorilla Glass and all that good stuff. The phones are great nowadays. And the technology is only getting better. Look at what we have now compared to what we had in 2007. 2007 is when the iPhone 1 came out, the first generation iPhone. It was not that good. I mean, it was cool. Like the cool factor was there. And that was really its big selling point, was the cool factor. Other than that, the iPhone was not really useful for much, that, you know, and compared to other phones, it really didn't do a whole lot that other phones didn't do. Like, oh, you could email from it. Yeah, BlackBerry did that for 5 years previous. Yeah, it's not like the iPhone 1 was really impressive on a technological level, but on a cool factor level, that was its selling point. Seriously. And everyone knew it. It's not like it's a big secret. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's just how it was. But now the useful factor is going up along with the cool factor. Because technologically speaking, by looks anyway, phones have stayed the same for the last almost 10 years. Phones have looked the same from 2007 all the way out to almost 2017. They're basically the same thing. Look at them. Look at a phone from 2007. Look at the phone you're holding in your hand right now. Maybe it's a little bit bigger, but it's still the same design, basically. It's a brick with a screen and 2 slots at the top and maybe a button in the middle if you have an iPhone. That's it. Basic design. And that's it. That's how it's going to be for a long time now. But that's good because that means you have a consistent design language. But anyway, I've gone way off the deep end, as I usually do. The All Out of Milk app, or Out of Milk app, is really, really good. I use it in my family all the time because it makes shopping that much easier. It's one of those things where it just makes life that much easier, because now I can shop, I can get all my stuff done, and all I have to do is look at my phone, and I have to try to read my bad handwriting because my handwriting is the worst. I don't have to read someone else's bad handwriting. Like, say someone else wants me to go out and get something and I can't read what they've written down. That makes it even worse, actually. That makes it about 400,000 times worse. So it's great. The All Out of Milk app, or Out of Milk app, is one of the best shopping list apps that I know of. Anyway, it's the best, basically. Let's put it in those terms. It is the best. There are recipe apps too, by the way. There's lots and lots of recipe apps. One that I use, let me look it up here real quick. I'm trying to find it. One that I use, because I don't really cook that much. I should cook more often, but I don't. One good recipe app is All Recipes. There it is. All Recipes is one of the best recipe apps you can get, because All Recipes is cool in that other people can submit recipes for you to use. So you can have recipes from official, right? Sort of like you got your Martha Stewart stuff, and you got your Rachel Ray, and you got your Guy Fieri stuff. And then you've got things from user submissions. So you'll have really great regional food from the Northeast, and you'll have really great regional food from the South, and you'll have really great regional food from the deep South. You know, it's starting to get into Louisiana, where it's more Western, more French influence in Louisiana. And then going out west to California, a lot more Latino influence. And up north, you'll have a lot more European influence. Great stuff. And it's all on All Recipes. I love it. My family loves it. My mom loves it. My sister loves it. Everybody loves it. All Recipes is a great app. And I like it too, because it makes finding recipes easy. I remember it used to be back in not too long ago, late 90s, early 2000s, I guess. It's not really that long ago. It's 20 years ago. We used to always print out recipes. And that was the big thing, is printing out recipes. My dad actually, no joke, built a program in HyperCard for compiling recipes. And it was great. It was amazing at the time, you know, in the 90s, before apps were a thing. But now it seems kind of funny. It's kind of antiquated because it was built for printing out your recipes. And it seems silly now. But back then, that was the height of technology, is I can have all my recipes on my computer and then I can print them out. How cool is that? And now the height of technology is I can have all my recipes on my phone and I never have to print them out. And I can add a checklist. That's one of the fun things about recipe apps too, is once you've finished with a step, you can tap on it and it checks it off. So you know that you've done that one already. Again, it just makes it that much easier, because you're not marking up the recipe you've printed up anymore, or you're not marking up the recipe book that you bought a long time ago. It's just, it makes it easy. That's what I love about it. It makes it easy. You don't have to worry about, the stacks of books. It's just all there in one database that someone else did for you. It's on someone else's computer. That's the idea of cloud computing, someone else's computer. So All Recipes app is the best, I would say, recipe app ever. If you're more into Food Network stuff, Food Network actually does have an app. It's just called Food Network in the Kitchen, which has a recipe app. There's also CookPad. HelloFresh is a sponsored one, but I always use actually All Recipes. Maybe there's something else that you might like better, but I think All Recipes is legitimately, not unironically, All Recipes is unironically the best cooking app, recipe app you can get. Compare or combine All Recipes with All Out of Milk, or Out of Milk, the shopping app, and basically you've taken care of all your kitchen needs in 2 apps. 2 apps, you've taken care of all your kitchen needs. It's basically the best. Hey, if you're wanting to get to files on your computer from your phone and you're wondering how to do that, say you have a shared folder on your computer, there's actually an app that'll get to those files for you and even play movie files from your computer if you're in a local area network. If you're in the same house as your computer, and say let's say you've downloaded, right? You know what I'm talking about. You've gotten the movie on your computer. If you get my drift, let's say you've gotten the movie on your computer and you want to watch it on your phone in your bedroom. Well, you can actually download ES File Explorer, which is one that I use. I love it. ES File Explorer on Android. That's ES File Explorer on Android. Open up that app, and then all you have to do is go to Network, and then you'll see all the computers in your local area network here. Let me just go down to, where is it? It's homepage, LAN. You'll see LAN. Tap on that, and you'll see all the different computers in your particular local area network. So then you can just connect to the one that's yours as long as you have the folder shared on your computer. If you're on Windows, right-click, go to Properties, and then Permissions and Share. It's easy as that. Just, you can look it up online too, and you can share your computer folder that way, and then you can access it from the app here on ES File Explorer. So then you can get all the music files you want. You can listen to you can watch all the movies you have on your computer. You can even, I'm pretty sure I've done this before, you can actually put a DVD into your computer and then watch it on your phone streaming from your computer. I've done that before. It's really cool. And you can do that from your phone, so you can walk around when you're watching your movie. You can be in the kitchen maybe, making a recipe while you're watching your video file. It's really cool stuff. Speaking of which, YouTube just launched a service that I don't think is really going to go anywhere, but it's worth mentioning anyway. YouTube Red is now this big competitor to Amazon and Netflix, because you've got Amazon Prime and you've got Netflix, right? I mean, we're all familiar with that. But now there's YouTube Red, which, again, I don't think is going to go anywhere. I think this is going to be one of those things where YouTube is trying something new, or Google's trying something new, and it's not going to work out too well. But it's called YouTube Red. It's $10 a month. It's $9.99, but there's going to be tax. So it's $10 a month. You get a 1 month free trial. They claim that you get music from YouTube Music, which means that if you have Google Play Music, suddenly you're paying for another music subscription already. It doesn't make any sense. You can watch original shows, and there's originals from creators you love, like PewDiePie. Yay. I don't know. I'm not buying it. YouTube Red doesn't seem that good to me. I'm not going to pay for it. It's just, no. Frankly, no. It's not yet another streaming service that we just don't need. I don't understand why YouTube's doing it. It's an obvious cash-in. I mean, every streaming service is, but it seems unwarranted, unnecessary, I guess. You'd think that they make more than $9.99 a month off of, compared to individuals. You'd think an individual would generate more than $9.99 a month just off of watching ads on YouTube in one day, you'd think. I don't know if that's the case, but you would think so. It just seems ridiculous. Hey, speaking of ads, Facebook is doing something that is gonna be unpopular, I guarantee, if it turns out that Facebook actually does this. So you use Facebook Messenger, right? Everyone uses Facebook Messenger. Well, Facebook might be looking at putting ads in Facebook Messenger, and that's not going to go over too well. Now, granted, 1 billion people use Facebook Messenger, which is like, what, an eighth of the world's population, I think? There are quite a few people on Earth. If 1 billion people are using your product, that's pretty impressive. So I can see where it would make sense to advertise to that very large portion of the world's population. I understand that, but it's going to be very unpopular if they do it wrong, if Facebook does it wrong. And you know what? It probably will. Facebook will probably do it wrong, and that's what I'm worried about. But we'll have to wait and see. So ads could be coming to Facebook Messenger. Keep that in mind. And in just a few minutes, we're going to be explaining the whole Apple versus FBI controversy, making it in simple terms, and we're going to talk about more apps that make your life that much easier here on Binary.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing the new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I'm going to Carter Shooting Supply.
Carter Shooting Supply.
That's right, Carter Shooting Supply. They're having a great sale on all of their guns right now, and it's name brands like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Springfield, their AR-15s. They've got the hottest gun in the land right now, the Sky 9mm. Man, it comes in all the cool colors. If you're an Alabama fan, they've got crimson. If you're a big orange fan, they've got an orange one. You know, all the women are loving the pink one and Tiffany blue. Plus, it has a lifetime warranty replacement. If the gun is stolen, all you need is your police report or receipt, and they'll replace it free. It has a 60-day full money-back guarantee. That's Carter Shooting Supply. They're in Harrison right there at 6210 Highway 58.
Are they online?
Yes, they are. That's cartershootingsupply.com, or give them a call, 423-344-1099. Now, this sale's not going to last too long, so you need to hurry up and get there. And they do have a great indoor shooting facility. You can get your Tennessee handgun carry permit also. That's Carter Shooting Supply, 423-344-1099.
Hi, I'm Sabrina with Sabrina Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at SabrinaRealty.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Little, candidate for criminal court judge with 25 years of criminal court experience, which makes me the most qualified candidate. The experience I have gained from handling over 4,000 cases in state and federal court has equipped me with the ability to be fair, impartial, and independent. As your next criminal court judge, I will focus on keeping Hamilton County safe. I view this position as a public service and will strive to improve the daily operation of the court. I humbly ask for your trust and vote in the March 1st Republican primary.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mike Little. Barry Abbott, Treasurer.
Sky Aerial Services uses advanced drone technology to give you a better perspective and depth of your property and project. We offer aerial photography and video for your business, farm, home, or advertising campaigns, as well as editing services to complete the experience. Call us at 423-521-0284 and see how we can help you tell your story about your business, property, or project. We work with real estate professionals, both commercial and residential, developers, engineer inspectors, surveyors, ad agencies, auto and boat dealers, mapping services, insurance inspectors, corporate marketing, charity events, weddings, and photographers. Our consultation is free. Call 423-521-0284. That's 423-521-0284, or visit our website, skyaerialservices.com. Sky Aerial Services. The sky is our limit.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business? Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years, a 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock. Call me now, 875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. Horseplay gone wrong. That's how one Gatlinburg detective described the Ottawa rape incident, according to a Hamilton County School Board attorney. He said the detective, who is now under investigation by the TBI for his testimony in Hamilton County Juvenile Court, also said that the county school officials should take no steps to investigate because the juvenile judge in Sevier County had put down a gag order. That turned out, of course, to not be true. Attorney Bennett said he took him at his word and didn't ask for a copy of the gag order. The attorney said the detective also told him that there was no evidence that any Hamilton County school employee had done anything wrong. Later, Neil Pinkston took a very different view, bringing charges of failure to report against 2 Ottawa High coaches and an athletic director. And the Hamilton County School Board's decision on Superintendent Rick Smith will be decided on Monday, March the 7th at 5 o'clock p.m. He's requesting a buyout of $269,000, which represents about 35% of the remainder of his contract. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect lots of sunshine and great looking weather out there through the afternoon. Highs warming into the lower 60s tonight. Some more clouds, not as cool, lows mid and upper 40s. For Saturday, cloudy. Can't rule out a sprinkle or two, but still mainly dry. Highs near 62 with showers rolling in from the west on Sunday. This forecast is brought to you by Hamilton Medical Center in Dalton, named by CareChex as the #1 hospital for cardiac care in the Northwest Georgia and Chattanooga region. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward. On AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Well, an app actually saved a life today, and Microsoft came out with a brand new app specifically designed to help you translate what you're looking at. You see, if you're visiting a foreign country just temporarily, generally speaking, you're not going to want to learn the entire language. If I'm going to go on a visit to Guatemala, I don't really want to learn Spanish in its entirety just so I can go on a visit to Guatemala. I might learn a few words, obviously, but I'm not going to learn the entirety of it. If I go to Brazil, I'm not going to want to learn Portuguese just so I can go to Brazil. It seems kind of odd. If I want to go to Rio de Janeiro, I'm not going to learn the entirety of Portuguese just to do that. Or Buenos Aires, if I go to Argentina, it seems ridiculous. Well, Microsoft is working on helping us with that. Maybe if you go to a trip to Europe, you're not going to learn German to go to Germany. Or what if you're going to Switzerland and you have to learn 3 languages now? If you already know English, but what about French and German? Do you know those languages? Probably not. If we go to Belgium and suddenly you have to learn both Dutch and French, and that's not easy. You don't want to do that. Well, this app can help you out. It's actually a brand new thing from Microsoft, just came out. And I know Microsoft, you probably recoil at the name Microsoft, but it is what it is. And Microsoft has not been the same company that it was 20 years ago, back with the whole crisis and controversy with the antitrust lawsuit, which, if you ask me, was a big a farce anyway, but that's just me. So released on Thursday, the version of Microsoft Translator for the iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch are now including what's called OCR, which basically means you point your camera at something and it reads it. It stands for optical character recognition, but it's just called OCR. The on-the-go translation via mobile app has now been catching on as a very helpful service for travelers and others. Google has been the leader so far, but now through its website and mobile app, Microsoft needs to show that it can do more than just play second fiddle to Google if it wants its own app to grab more users. Because frankly, when people think about Microsoft, they don't think cool. People don't think of cool when they think of Microsoft, and they probably never have. Even people who normally regularly use Windows or any other, Microsoft Windows phone, people generally probably don't think of Microsoft as being particularly cool, which is funny because Apple is just as uncool, but somehow has a reputation of being really cool, which I don't really get because Microsoft and Apple are just as corporate as each other. But for some reason, Microsoft has the better reputation, or Apple has a better reputation. I don't know why. I guess it's because Apple has way better marketing than Microsoft could ever hope to have. And probably Apple has patented the word marketing anyway, just knowing Apple. But anyway, so the version of Microsoft Translator for Android devices has this cool new feature. As of Wednesday, you can use it when you're not connected to the internet thanks to downloadable language packs. That could be used in a foreign location where you don't have internet or you don't have even cell service, right? Like I had that problem in Canada. I went up to Canada last year. No, year before last, because it was December. For a good friend of mine's wedding. And I went all the way up to Canada. Great trip. Canada's a cool country. Wouldn't want to live there, but it's a cool country. Very nice people there who all had funny accents and thought they knew immediately that I was American, which I thought was kind of funny. But no, they actually had a pretty good feeling about the South, interestingly enough. I sort of asked them, what's your opinion on the South, the southern U.S.? And they all had nice things to say about it. So I thought that was kind of cool about Canada. Very nice people. They will never say a mean thing to you, those Canadians. They're just the nicest people. It sort of reminded me of the South, where people in the South are very nice. Where we are here, people are extremely nice, like to a fault. And I think in Canada, they have sort of the same problem where they're just way too nice. I'm mean. Like I'll punch you if you look at me the wrong way. I'm a very mean person, but people in Canada, I'm kidding. People in Canada are not that way at all. They're not like Yankees, where Yankees they'll scowl at you if you look at them the wrong way. You pass them too closely, they shove you and tell you to get out of the way. I don't like Yankees. They're not very nice people. But anyway, Yankees are the worst, basically. We should have won. But but no, this translator app would have been halfway useful in Canada because there are some signs and stuff that's in French and that are in French. And it would have been halfway useful just to see what the French translates to compared to the English anyway. It would have been fun. But Canada was a cool country, and I could have used this translation app up in there just to read menus. I don't know. Microsoft said in a blog post that the offline translations are nearly as good as those that you would get online. It can't be 100% because it's not going to get live updates and that sort of thing. The character recognition feature for iPhones and other devices that run Apple's iOS operating system is not yet available. For Android phones. And the offline feature for Android gadgets is not yet available for iOS. So if you're on Android, you can do it offline, but you can't on iPhones. And if you're on iPhones, you can do immediate character recognition, which you can't do on Android. So it's sort of a trade-off. Google's Translate app has long included optical character recognition to translate text on the fly. So if you have the Google Translate app on your phone, a little known feature actually is you can translate text from your phone just by pointing your camera at it. And that's yet one more cool feature that Google has down pat. Google, not Apple. Google has that down pat. Google has so many neat features that are incredibly useful that Google has invested thousands of man hours into developing. And it's funny because so many people just don't know that it exists. Like Google Earth. People know about Google Earth, but people don't really use it that much, I don't think. And it's funny because Google has put so much effort, so much time into Google Earth, and it's not one of their better known apps, which is kind of funny to me. All these people put all these man hours, thousands of man hours, I'm sure, into developing Google Earth, and it's really not even top build, which is kind of funny. But it's a great app. Google Earth, by the way, amazing. There's something that's so fun. I don't know what it is, but it's probably the explorer in me. There's something so fun about getting in the Google app and seeing my house and then whooshing all the way over to Beijing, and whooshing all the way over to Berlin and whooshing all the way over to Czechoslovakia, or sorry, the Czech Republic. It's not Czechoslovakia anymore. Pardon me, my Czech and Slovak friends. Whooshing over to the Czech Republic and the Slovakia, and it's just amazing. It really is. It's an amazing thing. It really puts things into perspective, and it's an amazing thing. It's the only word I can use to describe it. It really is amazing. And Google Earth, by the way, on desktop now lets you explore the moon, what we can see of the moon, and Mars, what we can see of Mars. Very neat stuff. It's got live 3D view, like Street View on Google Maps. It's like that, but for photos that the Curiosity rover has taken. So panoramas, you can look around and see what Curiosity has taken in a 3D view. It's amazing, by the way. Again, amazing. If you're into astronomy or you're into space flight at all, it's definitely worth looking at. It's basically the best thing ever. Google Earth is amazing. Again, if you're into astronomy or you're into space flight, the Google Earth app actually can be really helpful for that if you're into learning about it too, because Google has this cool feature where if you go to the moon on the Google Earth app, you can actually see the landing location of Apollo 11 and the subsequent Apollo missions. And you can click on them. You can get little informational videos about this particular landing location. You can see where it is in relation to Earth. You can see where it is in relation to the other places. Like, say, you can see where I believe it was Apollo. I'm going to get beaten up for this because I don't remember. One of the last Apollo, I'm going to say Apollo 17. One of the last Apollo missions, anyway, had a rover, a drivable like car on the moon. It was very cool. And oddly enough, it's one of the lesser known things about spaceflight. We actually had a car you could drive on the moon. It was very cool. It was very useful too. And they had the most amount of time on the moon out of any other mission. But you can actually see where that is in Google Earth, and you can see where that is in relation to the Apollo 11 landing site, which happened, I think, 10 years before the later Apollo mission. It's very cool stuff. Again, it's amazing. It's the only word I can use to describe it. And you can do the same thing with Mars. So if, for instance, someone happens to land on Mars and they set up a colony and take photos, you'll probably be able to see it. And Google will most likely update the satellite view so that you can see the landing location and little informational blurbs about this particular Mars landing mission. So it's very exciting stuff. Technology in the hands of someone who is curious can be some of the most informational stuff ever, basically. The internet opens the floodgates for information, and apps do the same thing. Wikipedia actually has an app that's very useful. Wikipedia's app is so informational. People need to give more kudos to Wikipedia for being an amazing source of information, or rather, people need to give kudos to Wikipedia for compiling amazing sources of information. Because I would not use Wikipedia as a source, although universities are quickly seeing that you can do that. Universities are quickly being okay with that, but I wouldn't do it right now. But Wikipedia is a great jumping off point for study into just different scholarly things. If you're interested in just a quick summary of a particular topic, Wikipedia is the best for that. And it's one of the older websites out there too. So Wikipedia's app is great. If you don't have the Wikipedia app, go ahead and get it. It can save your butt countless times because it has so much information. Think about it. When you need to find out something, you're probably going to Google it, and you're probably going to click on a Wikipedia page. I guarantee you. Like, say you want to learn just the basics really quickly about a town in America. You Google it, you click on the Wikipedia link for it, and you read up on its quick history. Like you say, what year did the Battle of Ringgold Gap happen? And you look it up. It's 1860 something to be more precise. You can say that about all the Civil War, 1860 something. And you can find that on Wikipedia. It's amazing information. Wikipedia seriously is one of the best sources of information ever. I love it. So because we are in the last 10 minutes of the show, the last 10 minutes of Binary, I want to get into something that's a little bit more technical than we usually talk about. But it's the Apple scandal, the whole scandal with Apple and the FBI wanting Apple to divulge this information that really honestly probably shouldn't be and can't be divulged anyway. So there's a very big reason why Apple should not divulge the information the FBI wants it to. And I want to get into that because I see a lot of people commenting on news stories, especially ones published here locally, where people are saying, haven't you ever heard of national security and yada, yada. Well, this is going beyond national security because the biggest national security is your personal liberty. Just putting it frankly. The biggest threat to your personal liberty is the excuse of national security. It really is. And this is something that I feel to be undeniable. If you look at it, look through history, national security, use it as an excuse, is the biggest threat to your personal liberty. It just is going to be. That comes to your phone, especially. That applies to, I should say, the use of your computer, where constantly we need to get a subpoena to look through your computer, even though you're not convicted of a crime. All these different things, and it's a shame. So the best way to protect your phone, obviously, having a PIN code works. Having a PIN code works on your phone to keep the police out of it, or any other culprit, a thief, not just the cops, right? Because most people aren't worried about the cops taking their phones. But if you want to put it in perspective, you're probably worried about a thief taking your phone and looking at your bank account details, or looking through your family photos, or spending money on your phone, that sort of thing. You don't want that to happen. So having a PIN code obviously works, because even the FBI claims to not be able to get into people's iPhones because of these PIN codes. Now, there's the problem that the FBI runs into, just to put it in perspective. So, because I see people who don't understand this part, and that's okay, but it needs to be explained. The media does a terrible job. Media does an awful job of explaining how this works. Apple has set up its encryption in such a way that Apple doesn't have the keys. Imagine if there's a house that's completely secure. It's the most secure house in the world. Nobody can break into it unless they have the keys. And Apple walks away, sells you the house, walks away. There's only one copy of the key, and Apple gives that key to you. And if you die, that key disappears. That's basically the security that is summarized. That's basically the security that Apple has on its iPhones. And it technically, if Apple's correct in what it says, can't get into these iPhones. Even Apple cannot get into the iPhones if you have a PIN code on them that's secure enough that the FBI can't figure out. And the iPhone automatically locks itself after 10 attempts to break the PIN code, which is why you should not have your PIN code be something obvious like 1111 or 1234 or your birth year, because those things are easily guessed before you hit the 10 attempt limit, which locks your iPhone then after 10 attempts. So make it a password that only you know. Only you know. That's how you should do it. Like, say, something that you've made up on the fly, or the last four of a random person's phone number. Look through the phone book and just random person. Okay, there we go. This is my PIN code now. Some random person's phone number. The last four digits of this random person's phone number is now my PIN code on my phone. That's totally fine. That's a great way to secure your phone. It's not the best, but it's a decent way to secure your phone. Now, the problem that the FBI is running into is the San Bernardino shooter apparently had an iPhone 5C, which does not have a fingerprint scanner, so they can't use the corpse's fingerprint to log into the phone, and apparently uses a PIN code. Apple cannot get into that phone because of that PIN code. It threw away the key, essentially. And that's great for keeping us secure, but not so great for the FBI. Now, the FBI, let's keep in mind, the FBI is not necessarily requesting that Apple open that specific phone. What the FBI is requesting, and has been requesting before the San Bernardino shooter, because we covered this on Digital Drive years ago. Literally years ago. We covered it a long time ago. Is that the FBI wants a back door into Apple's infrastructure. Now, a back door into Apple's infrastructure means a back door into everyone's iPhone, essentially. The FBI could suddenly get into anyone's iPhone at will, even without subpoena, because there's such a thing as an NSL, National Security Letter, which would, it's not legal constitutionally, but would legally, right, in quotes, allow any federal law enforcement agency to get into any phone ever, essentially, or any infrastructure it wants. Now, it's not legal constitutionally, but legal in the weird, obscure sense that the feds use. It's legal, quote unquote, finger quotes legal. It's not actually constitutionally legal, but it's finger quotes legal. Right, it's legal in the mind of some lawyer who works for the feds who's going to find any excuse to make anything legal. It's legal because some congressman said so. So the FBI should not have any way to get into an iPhone at all. Honestly, it shouldn't, because that opens up the floodgates. I know it's a slippery slope fallacy. I know it is, but think about it this way: if Apple gives those the credentials to the U.S. government, there is no reason for Apple then to not give those credentials to the Chinese government, the Iranian government, the Russian government, even the Canadian government, the Mexican government, any government on the planet, because there are people in pretty much every country who use iPhones. Everyone uses an iPhone. Half of the mobile phone population uses the iPhone, roughly. So then everyone in every country, most likely, at least one person in some country has access to this iPhone. So there's no reason for these governments to then not request the same backdoor access that the US government has from Apple. There's no reason. And there's no precedent for Apple to say no. So this is a genius move on Apple's part to say we can't even get into the iPhones. It's genius because then that protects Apple from this whole debacle. It's a great protection. It's genius. Again, Tim Cook has got it down. It's genius. And I'm not even an Apple fanboy. I really am not. I don't like iPhones that much. I don't like iPads that much, and I don't like MacBooks that much. But they're fine devices. I'm not knocking them. They're just not for me. I'm not into that. But it's a genius move on Apple's part. So that's the explanation. In case you were confused about it, in case you weren't quite sure what's going on here, that's the explanation. It's not the case where the FBI is asking Apple to open the San Bernardino shooter's phone and Apple's just saying no out of spite. That's not what it is. I'm sure if Apple could do it, Apple would do it because Apple would be legally obliged to anyway, technically speaking, under legal standards. So Apple cannot get into the San Bernardino shooter's phone. It can't. It's what it claims. And I have no reason to doubt it. I mean, going by track records, I guess. Now, there's also been articles posted saying that Apple got into phones from 2008. Well, that's true in 2008, where the operating system was different in 2008, because we're talking about nearly 10 years ago, where obviously the operating system was different. It's iOS 7 where it started to have the encryption where Apple can't get into it. iOS 7 was released, 2 years ago, I think? So it's only as of 2 years ago that this has been the case. And as a privacy advocate, this is great. And for someone who's a national security advocate, quote unquote national security advocate, this is terrible because this means that the FBI and any other government agency ever can't get into people's iPhones, which is for us a great thing. So I know that was overly technical possibly, but I hope that summarizes it. And just to clarify again, Apple says it cannot get into the San Bernardino shooter's phone. Not because Apple doesn't want to get into the San Bernardino shooter's phone, but because Apple technically cannot get into the San Bernardino shooter's phone. The FBI is not necessarily specifically asking Apple to let them get into the San Bernardino shooter's phone. That's the catch. That's what the media sort of makes it sound like, but that's not exactly what it is. The FBI is actually requesting that Apple open up the back door for every iPhone ever, meaning that the FBI could then access every iPhone ever. That sets a very dangerous precedent. And obviously, the government can't be trusted. I mean, that's obvious at this point and should have been obvious forever. Government cannot be trusted. The feds can't be trusted. We know that. So obviously, you don't want the feds to get in. I mean, Edward Snowden proved that. Julian Assange proved that. Government can't be trusted. So that's the explanation. Google has, I think anyway, very noble intentions with this. I hope anyway. Tim Cook seems to be doing the right thing. Props to Tim Cook. If what he says and if he's really following the philosophy he seems to be from Apple's blog post. So it's a very good thing that Apple is doing. It's keeping big government at bay. It's surprising because Apple tends to be very liberal. Tim Cook is a very liberal person, but I am impressed. So this has been Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio. I know that was a little bit technical, but I hope that clears it up for people who are confused about the Apple situation. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Colin Cowherd up next right here, Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Get us on the Bloom Sky app and get us on TuneIn Radio.
Nooganomics.com is a slap of fresh air, a 2x4 across the brain every morning. Read Nooganomics.com to find out what's happening in Chattanooga. Local-centric, Nooga-centric. Read it. The man who matters does. You should too. Nooganomics.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Little, candidate for criminal court judge with 25 years of criminal court experience, which makes me the most qualified candidate. The experience I have gained from handling over 4,000 cases in state and federal court has equipped me with the ability to be fair, impartial, and independent. As your next criminal court judge, I will focus on keeping Hamilton County safe. I view this position as a public service and will strive to improve the daily operation of the court. I humbly ask for your trust and vote in the March 1st Republican primary.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mike Little. Barry Abbott, Treasurer.
Are you prepared? Do you have an emergency plan? Do you have the skills and mindset to survive a disaster? Now is the time to come to P5 Preparedness. We offer preparedness classes, supplies, and over 30 years of combined knowledge. P5 Preparedness, located on East Brainerd Road between I-75 and Gun Barrel. Look for the big Army truck. Call us at 423-602-2175. Do not wait. You need to get prepared today. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Get the skills and supplies you need or die waiting for help. P5 Preparedness.
Get $10 off a screen repair. Mention Hot News Talk Radio. If you have the DTs, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Get $10 off a screen repair. Mention Hot News Talk Radio. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Get $10 off a screen repair. Mention Hot News Talk Radio. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Get $10 off a screen repair. Mention Hot News Talk Radio. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. Get $10 off a screen repair. Mention Hot News Talk Radio. Yeah.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
More businesses are facing problems and penalties for not complying with IRS rules. Business owners must file Form 1099 on or before February 28th. Need assistance? E.J. Pelton CPA will help. If you need 1099 help, call E.J. Pelton Company at 332-3339. He will file those 1099s for you and keep the government off your back. E.J. Pelton Company on Brainerd Road near the Belvoir Light and in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike north of Food City. Call 332-3339.
I wonder who's watching me now. The IRS.
You need a place for your party or maybe a wedding reception for 100 or even more. Maybe you'd like to host a small trade show for your business and you need a very affordable venue. Are you looking for a place for your birthday gala or services to start up a church? Look no further than the Hidden Gem in Hickson. It's an overlooked, newly appointed reception hall right here in Hickson, Tennessee. Big space, small price. That's right, big space, small price. Call Mr. Chu and ask for a tour. 316-7388. That's 423-316-7388. He'll tell you a lot more about the venue. Rent this venue today. Just call 423-316-7388 and ask for Mr. Chu.
Expect lots of sunshine and great looking weather out there through the afternoon. Highs warming into the lower 60s tonight. Some more clouds, not as cool, lows mid and upper 40s. For Saturday, cloudy. Can't rule out a sprinkle or two, but still mainly dry. Highs near 62 with showers rolling in from the west on Sunday. This forecast is brought to you by Hamilton Medical Center in Dalton, named by CareChex as the #1 hospital for cardiac care in the Northwest Georgia and Chattanooga region. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go. No. Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gotta burn my boots, they touched Yankee soil. Lay down your arms and step forward, Yankee!
What's the hassle, Schmassel?
My orders from General Lee is to hold the Macy